Netflix. So the software goes back and looks for a behavior when a stock over this time frame, and I believe we're looking at the daily time frame here, so approximately 5 months or so. So in that time frame, you have to have had some sort of a big gap up, okay? And then the stock had to continue on trading afterwards, and even if it retraced the whole move up from the top of the range back to the bottom of the retracement range, as long as it didn't settle for any length of time in between here and start filling the gap, as long as that gap was filled, the algorithm said, statistically speaking, that the stock looked like it was going to go a lot higher based on, again, how stocks behaved in this particular instance. And so we drew kind of like these check marks where, like, so these, imagine Sherlock Holmes. Maybe that's what we should name our AI. You know how IBM has Watson. We're still looking for a name for ours. So if you want to comment on that or send us an email, it's an open mic for the name of our artificial intelligence engine. So it's looking back at every instance, and it's looking back at thousands of different instances that a gap like this took place and just chronicling a time series of, well, how many times did it go up, retrace, and then break? And sometimes it did. And how many times did it continue higher? And based on these little check marks where the volume was this and the gap up was on this kind of volume, it really gave us confidence that Netflix was going to go higher. And if any of you check the Netflix price, you'll see that it's gone higher than this point as well and just continued to break out. So this is what our software is doing, and why you're here is because we believe that to be an effective investor on any time frame, you really need to be using statistical analysis to see, how to improve your entry and get yourself in position so that, again, you possibly might not have to sell. So today is tax day, and I'm paying for a sale of a stock called BOFI, which I had since 2000, I believe, 10 or 12. I don't remember now, but the bottom line is I held it for over 2 years, and it was definitely a long-term capital gain. And that's a much better proposition than short-term capital gain. So when we do this trade of the week, and many of you are here, again, just because you're simply trade of the week subscribers, you're not necessarily customers of Trade Ideas subscriptions, and that's okay. That's why we want to share with you what it is that we're doing, and showcasing why we believe that just on its own the trade of the week is an interesting merit, because if you're following these stocks, and again, GE is one that our AI thinks is going to be a fantastic play, especially given the safety of the company and just the way technology is moving forward. It really could shape up to be a very long-term positive investment. So before I jump into the rest of the presentation, I just want to make sure that everybody here knows that we do have some offers that are available for people who are participating with us tonight. And as I continue, I'm going to give Scott some time to come in here and present the offers. I just want to make sure that everybody knew that we weren't just going to drill into the presentation forever. We're going to take little breaks and stuff like that. Okay, so translated zeros and one into words. So this is, again, kind of a human example what we're doing algorithmically. So there was another one that was just fantastic that our computers always look for. And again, it's this kind of pattern. And this is an example of from the social volume radar, which is one of the screens on our social mentions channel. And it was also all over the search channel, VLTC. What a stock. And by the way, you can tell that this picture was taken several days ago, because even if you had bought it here, it hit 9 today. And again, that does not mean that this is going to happen again, but the point is you can only be in it if you want to win it. And this is what we are really trying to expose our audience to, that in the game of returns and trying to make money or attain some sort of a wealth, you're never going to do it if you're benchmarking yourself with the S&P. But you guys aren't here because, you're concerned with safety. You're here because you're interested in trying to figure out how to take it to the next level. How do you attain the kind of returns that, people talk about or discuss and you think about when you hear the word hedge fund? Well, the answer is VLTC. Okay, so here's a stock that went from $2 to $9. Okay, and it's trading 13 million shares right here. So that means that if you were a hedge fund trader and you went and bought 200,000 at 4, you could have made in the last 3 days a significant amount of money, several $1 million. Okay, that's how it is done. And the point is, though, obviously we don't expect that you're going to have 200,000, but imagine if you bought 200 shares. I mean, it's still a great move. So that's the other side of it, is even if you have a small account, a move like this is an incredible possible step to set you in the right direction, and we've been watching it for days. And this is an example of where the AI first was triggered when we were like, what's going on with VLTC? And then it just continued, and it was all over this page from that point on. So before I move on further, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause right now, and I'm going to let Scott introduce you to a couple of the offers that we have, and then I'm actually going to jump a little bit into our software so that everybody can see kind of what I'm talking about in some of these slides, and then we'll get back to the end of the presentation. Scott?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So we have a tax day special for you today to save 30% off of an order total. So that means you will save 30% off of the first month of a recurring subscription or off of the total of any order. So for example, if you want to get a lifetime oddsmaker license that's normally $1,100, that's only $770. You can try our $99 single month for $69.30 or the monthly recurring at the first month for $52.50. It's a good deal. Use the code TAXDAY2015, all caps for tax day, on your checkout, and it'll apply the code to your total. If you can flip to the next slide, Dan. For those of you who already know that Trade Ideas is an outstanding value, here's the best deal. You can get Trade Ideas for a complete year of Trade Ideas and a lifetime oddsmaker subscription for $899. The total that would be without the discount is $1,728. So you're saving over 52%. That's over half. So the total per day for the year comes out to only be $246. So that's less than a cup of Starbucks coffee, really, per day. And if you understand the value of Trade Ideas, you know that that's an outstanding deal. You can get to that deal by typing the bit.ly link that you see highlighted into your browser, bit.ly/899saver. So that's, 899saver, pretty easy to remember. I will also send everyone that's attending these links via email within a day of the end of the webinar, along with a link to the replay of the entire webinar. Dan?
Scott, fantastic. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out of the presentation mode real quick. And let me know, everybody, just type yes so I can make sure that everybody's seeing my screen. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so in the Trade Ideas Trade of the Week webinar, we talk about the fact that we use an algorithm that searches for a future long-term sustained move. And we do this for free, and we give these out to everybody in hopes that you guys get to benefit and profit in the way that possibly gives you an opportunity to subscribe to Trade Ideas, the data service. Because here, our subscribers hunt for possible shorter-term gains similar to the stock that I discussed in the slide, Voltaire Corporation. Okay? And we talked about the fact that this stock, okay, once it gapped up, and I really want to show this, because there's a very interesting thing that we want to discuss that a lot of people don't really think about, okay, which is called the hard right edge, okay? So when a stock is trading and you see this, instantly the first thing that comes to your mind is, wow, who were the idiots that bought that big green bar? Because in your eyes say to you, this thing is overvalued. I mean, look at that red candle that we're forming. And possibly as you move it to the next candle and it's just barely there, you're like, this just isn't going to work. And then this happens, okay? So while, again, it's very easy in hindsight to say, oh, this was a no-brainer, in reality, when you approach this decision from just getting in, and let's talk about getting in right here, almost everybody would say here, it is too late. But it wasn't too late. In fact, you could have pressed it here. And these movements, again, the movements between $2.50 to $10 in a span of a week, they happen. And this is where wealth is acquired, or how you attain better returns than you could have ever imagined if you just have access to the information. So by no means am I trying to purport or say that with trade ideas you're instantly going to find all the VLTCs. Absolutely not. First of all, I can assure you that this does not happen all the time. But in the most recent time, there have been some phenomenal movement in the market, which makes you feel that more and more people are coming in and are becoming interested in committing capital, which is a perfect time for people such as yourselves who are investigating with what technology am I going to view all of this information, that trade ideas can come into play. So everybody that's here is looking at our product called Trade Ideas Pro. And this is the technology that's used to create the algorithm that hunts for BLTCs, that hunts for Trade Ideas Trade of the Week, but also displays the data so that even if you're just trying to make discretionary decisions or see what's going on in the market, something that you may want to just participate in or be aware of, just for awareness sake, there is no better place. We have a channel bar that allows the end users to channel surf the markets to see just exactly what's happening on each side of the bell curve. So on the winner's side, what's going on and who's doing it? Okay, Molycorp. Wow, a very small stock, mineral and mining. I've been noticing that the gold stocks and the mining stocks have been making a rebound, and this just falls right into that narrative. You're able to dissect the data with trade ideas in a much more meaningful and colorful way where you can zero in on important things like relative volume. So this guy, VGGL, Vigilcom, is trading 24 times its normal volume. Well, look at this. Isn't this looking a little bit like that BLTC situation? It seems like it is. And you guys aren't the only ones that are starting to notice. It's this first wave. So one of the things that you're seeing here for free is, well, who could be the next VLTC? Again, nobody knows the future, but this is absolutely a footprint. But so was this. And it failed. Even after creating a move that seemed very, very similar. So just saying that, very interesting stuff happening here, but very volatile. But the difference being, and again, this is what one of the things that our algorithm looks for, is this basing period, which did not exist here. So that's one of the things that it likes. And again, you didn't even need access to the AI. You would have spotted this move just by simply investigating it through Trade Ideas Pro, which is a fantastic way to navigate and move around the markets. In the same place that you can see the most interesting kind of action, you can also see what the stock does, get some more visual and overall information, as well as see what what business it operates. This is the kind of technology that you can see making sense to you as a trader and investment. So the idea is, again, it's all combined in one place, and you can quickly get to a decision point, which is what it's all about. Our channel bar changes all the time, and one of the things that my partner Brad Williams discussed in the webinar earlier today is that California is experiencing a very serious drought. And as a result, there's been a lot of focus recently on stocks that are operating in the water space. So we have a drought channel, and now you can start to get in on some of these names or be aware of what's happening, before the trends completely change. Okay? So you can see like how this company and what does it do in the water business, why you think it may or may not be a good idea, but at the very least you can definitely start to be aware of themes of like, what's going on here? Again, sometimes you don't have to even use an algorithm. You can just use almost a little bit of common sense, where the themes are so strong, like drought is part of the whole climate change and all this other environmental stuff that's happening right now. And again, there are companies coming into the market to take advantage of it. Very similar other example is the marijuana industry. You may laugh, and we actually take humor in some of the ways that we display the data, as these strategy names are meant to provide some entertainment. But GWPH was one of the stocks that was mentioned in our AI strategy that I'm going to show you as a swing candidate and a day trading candidate. And here's a stock that's in the in the hundreds. So you can sort this marijuana information again based on, well, who has the most cash, and here it is, or who's got the highest revenue growth. And you can see, you can start just seeing trends more clearly and acting on them more clearly if there's a play. Again, the marijuana names were incredible earlier on, especially in 2014 and in the end of 2014, beginning of 2015. And look at the move that you had in this stock. From almost triple. So this alpha or these returns are available. They're there. The question is, how do you access them? So, and that's what we're saying, that one of the ways that you access the information is by having the ability to use our channels. So one of our, again, most popular channels is the social media channel. And this, again, takes advantage of another data point that's proprietary to Trade Ideas, in that we don't just take the exchange data, but we also look at social data, and we combine it together so we can let you know, like here, Delta Airlines was moving up with earnings, and it was being mentioned an unusual amount in social media. And so as soon as this information is coming across, it's, this is an alert stream, and it's like a real-time Twitter, but of computational mathematics, where you see the stock and then you see what's happening. So ASLM Holdings, high unusual social mentions on high negative sentiment. You can see what's going on, and boom. I mean, right away, the picture makes perfect sense. So there's a reason why you have these expectations. We do a lot of pre-analysis so that you can see, for example, that if you see a big green bar in the position in 20-day range column, you know that the stock is on 20-day highs. And if it's red, it's on 20-day lows. So again, very easy to see what's happening here. I knew that before I clicked it. And this one is not as good, but still pretty good. Again, just off of highs. So you can interact with all the columns and just view data and get a real nice feel for what's going on. Again, and there's something for everyone, but we really try to break it down and give it to create kind of a human feel to it, where if you want to see, like, what's getting beaten up, if you want to be that kind of a player and see where the opportunities come in there, no problem. There's a channel for that. Are you in the options game? Do you want to see which stocks just have the most unusual and interesting options activity? We have an options channel that focuses on all the interesting stuff that's happening. Unusual options volume today, just the totals, which contracts, highest put, highest call, and then combinations of stock volume and options volume and social volume as well. So we have just the most layered sets of data points from which our algorithms can then see how to interpret the data and what to do with it. Okay, so I'm going to showcase a couple of things like that. So here is a strategy that I created for this webinar, and it talks about, again, well, how do you take an idea like the trade of the week algorithm but apply it more frequently so that you can take advantage of different things, especially since not all of the trade ideas, trade of the week candidates could possibly be winners. So one of the ways is, again, to have a shorter time horizon. And again, a nice, simple time horizon in swing trading terms is a week. So it's like it's called a 5-day swing. So here's a strategy called volume surge with options play, because you're combining two things, options volume and stock volume together. Now I'm going to ask our AI, well, what happens if I buy in 15 minutes after the open when the volume trigger takes place and sell it 5 days later? So it runs through the system, changing the filters that need to be suggested. And this is how I come up with the idea that when I see this, okay, which is Heinz, let's take a look at that real quick. Right, okay. So when I see Heinz at 29.51, and I'm trading it based on this strategy, I am assuming that in 5 days it's going to be up possibly somewhere around 4 points. If I'm trading, you know, oh, I'm sorry. My average winner is going to be 4 points, and my average loser is going to be $2.68. I was doing a dollars versus share size, so I was just here. Let me make that adjustment real quick. Let's call it 100 shares. Okay. So again, depending on what you're trading, whether it's share size or dollar size, your average winner to average loser ratio, you want that to be very high. And for myself, everything that I'm seeing in these profit factors based on this strategy lets me believe that Heinz, if that's what that is, HZPN, I forget if that is Heinz or not, but HZPN should have this statistical profile for the next trade. Okay, so I'm going to show, so that one's for 5 days. And now I'm going to show you one that I asked the computer for in terms of the daily time frame. Because again, we can ask it to do all sorts of different things. We can say, you know, what if I want to hold it for 30 minutes? What if I don't want to hold it overnight because there's too much risk? So here's another example where I took a similar concept in terms of volume, but what I did was I wanted the price action to show a stock that was completely turning around. So it was coming back 75% from the lows of the day, and I wanted to hold it at no more than 45 minutes. And again, here you see I have a nice expectation that based on that, I should have a possible 64% chance of this stock. Again, if I had bought it being higher when I decided to sell. So that's the difference between just, you know, looking up by yourself at this and saying, okay, well, I think this is going to go higher. It looks good. And by the way, I mean, I would say maybe I agree with you, but the difference is that you simply don't know what the footprint of this pattern is over the long-term data set. And on its own merit, Halliburton looks fantastic, but you just don't know, and we do, and that's what our database does. Is that when we are trying to create an algorithm, we're trying to say, hey, give me a best statistical guesstimate so that when I'm making my next investment, I'm just much more inclined to do it because I know the statistics behind me. All right, guys, hold on one second. I'm going to bring up the presentation again because there's more that I wanted to switch to. So let's go back to right here. Okay, so I kind of gave you an overview of how we do it, and I also showed you that basically it's the same kind of algorithm. You know, the idea is that whatever the time frame you're looking for, whether it's the trade ideas trade of the week longer term time frame or the shorter term time frame that we just demonstrated, or you see in some of these slides with BLTC, the idea is that the computer does a better job of guessing at it than we do. And that's what we're trying to make our customers see. So, you know, a lot of you have asked me, wow, what strategy did you see this? What strategy did you see that? And let me show you what I've been looking at for the last several days. And this is called a multi-strategy window. It's an M. So imagine, again, for those of you that are our customers, you'll hopefully already know how I did it. It's very simple. I created several optimized strategies and put them into one window, which is like basically my AI. Okay? And so the window tells me, well, what's my signal? So you can see, like, well, it's ready for a 5-day swing, or it's ready for an intraday move. So this was yesterday, okay, and all of this was happening in real time out of sample. So look at that 8:12 on AM on the 14th. Okay, WUBA got a signal for a 5-day swing long. And I mean, at $60.22. And if you pulled it up, again, this is where, remember I was telling you about the hard right edge, you probably would have thought it was overdone. You would have said, I don't want to chase that. But the computer doesn't because it knows. And look what happened. It went up and it basically closed at another 8 points higher. And there are several. I know that I'm not the only one that had this strategy. I know that our leader in the trading room, Barry Einerson, has it, and there are several other ones that have it as well. So the other stock that came in was GWPH, and we talked about that on our 420 marijuana theme channel. Okay, so it delivered a signal at 105. And when we discussed it on the software, you saw that it was at 109 already. Okay, so like I decided to, one of the really fun things is I decided to kind of take a screenshot of this as I was watching it, because I was discussing it with my partners in real time. My partner Brad and I was like, Brad, I feel like I'm cheating. You know, it's just an incredible day. And again, this is what I love about sharing this, is that I did it all in real time. There's just no way to fake this thing, because again, that picture's been out already on my Twitter feed, and you can see that the message that I was trying to tell people is that here's what happens when you have like the trade ideas version of Watson, why he's better than a human. Because to him, WUBA does not look overbought. It looks like an opportunity, and he says so to you. And he says so kind of unapologetically, like 62.22, that's your price, 5-day swing. Of course, if it pulled back to 52, it would be terrible. Okay. The other ones, by the way, that I didn't circle were not as big of winners, because again, it wasn't perfect. I just highlighted the ones that were just incredible. But you can go check the prices. They were just some of them were also winners, but just not as big, and some were small losers, but nothing like compared to an 8-point winner and a 3-point winner and like a 2-point winner. It was just an amazing day, and the idea was that this is what we're trying to showcase. Like, this is what a real computer-based stream of trade ideas looks like. Get ready, because this is what's coming. Okay. And one of the things that again, hopefully, you guys should be excited about is that everybody who has access to trade ideas via this $8.99 program that we have, okay, they will get grandfathered into the AI channel when it goes live. And so this is just a great opportunity for everybody to join forces with everybody else who's already getting this information and making money from it. When we put the AI channel on, it's really going to change a lot of things, we think, especially from the broker space. But you guys are not going to have to pay extra for it if you're with us before it goes live on the $8.99. So that's just one of the incentives, and we hope you take advantage of it. So the other thing is that if you follow me on Twitter, and I'm on at Trade Ideas 1, and Scott and I will show that slide again, you will notice that I often use myself as a guinea pig. As a CEO of Trade Ideas, I'm not a day trader by any means, and I just can't do it because I'm in meetings and I'm flying around and we're presenting and we're doing all of this stuff. But I do participate in the markets because I feel like if I don't, then I lose touch with the thing that I'm passionate about and that I'm selling. But I want you guys to see that here's how I do. I mean, this is my today P&L snapshot, somewhere right around before the close. Okay? Up almost 4,000, and you can see the things I'm in, things that I've talked about, things that I have strategies for, and again, I just want to say that when you are using Trade Ideas technology and you interact with our team, you understand that the people that are the vendors of this technology have a stake not just in selling it. I mean, we are businessmen, no doubt, but we are here to make a good product, and we showcase how we use it ourselves. Okay, so we are, we use ourselves as an example, and and we get this kind of feedback, and this is how people react when they really sort of take the blinders off. Once you have access to the odds maker, and once you have access to Trade Ideas, getting, first of all, the real-time delivery of the signal, but then being able to test the signal compared to your expectations, you go from being timid to just making educated investment choices. So what I'm going to do now real quick is I'm going to give Scott the floor again. Scott, will you give everybody just an overview of the opportunities, and then I'll get back to a couple of other things that I'm going to demonstrate. And
yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Dan. So as we outlined before, we have a product code to use today, and it works through Friday, and that saves 30% off of an order total. So if you're already a subscriber and you want to get the odds maker, use Tax Day 2015 on checkout for buying the odds maker and get it for $770 instead of $1,100. And that license is for a lifetime. Whether you come or go with Trade Ideas, whenever you have an active subscription, you can use the odds maker. You can get the starter month just to give us a try for $69.30. There's no obligation to continue after that. Our monthly recurring drops the first month of that down to $52.50 to try it out. The Advantage Player, I may not have explained that earlier. That's a really good deal normally. It's $236 to activate, but it's billed at $43 a month. With the Tax Day 2015 code, you can start it at $165.20, and then it renews at only $43 per month. Hey, Dan, can you switch to the next slide?
Absolutely.
Thanks. So for those of you that already know the value of Trade Ideas, you should go ahead and just get the $8.99 deal. That gets you the full year, and the normal $628 full year is already $30 off of our $75 a month subscription. if you totaled them out. But this deal bundles that along with the odds maker and an optimized strategy for $899. That's 52% off of what the total would normally be. So go to your web browser and type in bit.ly/899 SAVER, 899 SAVER, and that'll take you to a page where you can click through to buy that package. If you're already a subscriber and want to switch to this package, for example, if you're already on the Advantage Player or already on the $75 a month recurring, just email us at info@tradeideas.com and we'll help you upgrade. Dan?
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Scott. And again, I want to thank everybody for coming here. It's not over, but I do want to make sure that everybody is aware, because there's a lot of questions, and these webinars we do the best that we can to answer them. But should we be somehow unable to get to you today, please be aware of these resources where you can send me an email directly or send them to info. We have Facebook pages where you can ask questions. We have a forum. We have a Trade Ideas support chat that is always on and manned by Barry Einerson, who's a fantastic Trade Ideas expert and one of the best active traders in Boston. So just make sure that you guys are aware there's all these resources for support. So, okay, so back to Trade Ideas, and again, specifically Trade Ideas Pro. What I'm showing you here is a window. So this is what kind of like the first phase of the AI-powered layout looks like. And this is really kind of sort of put together in just a way for me. And you can probably tell that I sort of have a sense of humor about it, because I say things like, love the chart on this one, because, again, every time you're going to see it, you're going to love the chart on this one. And here's one again that happened today at 7:46 a.m., 10:20, and it closed 50 cents higher. So you're seeing some of this stuff. Not everything works. Here's a Juno trade that didn't. Okay, and again, that happens because, my goodness, if you believe that every automated system just fires off without loss, well, then you really are confused, because if even high-frequency trading, which by the way is completely nothing like this, they also have risks. They're totally different, but they're certainly nothing like the statistical risks of us trying to speculate well. The best analogy to what we do is that we are counting cards in Vegas. You're like playing blackjack, you're counting the cards. And here I just have a stream of optimized strategies. And look, just so you can see what it looks like. Okay, they're all colored differently. Each one is optimized, and they come in real time. And you can set up view modes for this, the right way. Again, as I experiment, I can just, tell you that you can. There's a lot of different things that you can do. You can really customize the views almost however you want. You can change the headers. You can, this window can look in a number of different ways. And when it comes out, it actually might be a whole new type of window of its own. But I kind of just wanted to showcase where the information that you're seeing is coming from. So it just looks like something like this. So then I'm going to show you another example of one of the really cool things that we have. So we have an active trading investment channel. And this, by the way, does not mean that everybody's in here is just like day trading every second. It just means that it provides different view modes that that have a broader swath of information. So you have like several different types of highs. You have one called turbo breaks, which were made by Director of Education Jamie Hodge, and you have one called double diamond, which is things that are going to be dangerous, like of course VLTC because of the volatility. Okay. And then you have one called the most unusual daily movers, and again, this is a great example of our technology because our software knows the difference between what's a dollar move for Google nothing versus a dollar move for a BGGL, which is something crazy going on. Okay, and look at this, 45% daily change. Everybody should be watching the stock. If there's anything that I can provide to you before we leave today, is keep an eye on BGGL because it may very well pay for your subscription to Trade Ideas. Okay, great. So these two windows right here, biggest pullbacks and biggest bounces, they're another fantastic example of the utilization of Trade Ideas data to take kind of out-of-the-box things but use them in a maybe unthought of way. So here's a window called biggest pullbacks, which looks at every single stock that's up quite a bit today, and you can see this by the percent change. 9%, 6%. I think every window here, it's at least up at least 5% or more. But it's sorted by which stock is pulling back the most. And pullback means this. See like this move from highs? So that means that if you're a buyer, if you're a net believer of the thesis of the move up, this is a fantastic time to bid in. And if you're a contrarian, well then it's giving you its first sign of weakness. Same thing with the down moves. Everything that's being kind of beaten is resorted by the move up. Is this going to be a real bounce, or is this a great time to sell? You will never, ever, 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 ever be bored if you are watching these two windows because something is always going on. And almost nobody can track it this way. This simple little design of the pullback and the bounce. Okay? We also have these compare count windows, which are a really interesting way to view what's happening in the market. And this is, I mean, my comment here is, again, just as a stamp of, to give me confidence, for example. I love getting into things long when there's just an overwhelming strength trend through this meter. And this is always on this channel, and it's happening in real time. And it's providing you a really good update of not only like who's winning the tug of war between the bulls and the bears, but who's making that up. And this is just a completely custom window that Trade Ideas built and designed. And you can click on the stocks and see what's going on. So the other thing too, guys, is everybody who joins Trade Ideas before we release charting is also going to be grandfathered into our charts, which you don't even have access to, but are coming out very soon, and they're going to look kind of like this, and there's going to be some awesome stuff in there where you can share ideas, and sometimes sometime coming you'll be able to highlight an area and say, I want to configure my alert window to look for this pattern. So you're going to be visually configuring things or asking for things. So when you see that stock like this, you could maybe highlight this area right here and say, okay, I want to see this. And it'll start showing to you when it gets here, 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 and here. So this is, again, that's the magic of what we bring to the table. It's the most exciting and interesting way to look at the market and make decisions based on statistical assumptions versus guessing. That's what we use to create the Trade Ideas Trade of the Week algorithm, and GE is the Trade Ideas Trade of the Week. So GE had a huge gap up on volume. Again, notice it's one of these statistical footprints, almost not exactly, but one of the facets of the Netflix move that we showed. So it gaps up, makes a big high. This gap up was the trigger for us to start getting long. And it's just retracing a little bit. But and I've had comments from people saying, hey, is there any way that you could have gotten it to us sooner, or or at a better price, because I feel like I'm chasing it. Well, I have to say the answer is kind of no, because of course we never want to chase it. But think about the fact that the Trade Ideas Trade of the Week algorithm is designed to have you be in something that's going to be possibly going for a year and a half. When you see GE, and remember what I'm saying to you, when you see GE in 2016 at like $50, this is going to be taped probably, so you will be able to quote me, then like, the 50 cents or the dollar that you're missing here is not going to be a significant, factor for you to weigh in on. So people want to get in on the perfect price. That's impossible. One of the things that you can do is, hey, you can possibly break it up. Buy 100 at the breakout price, and if it goes, then you're in. All good. If it comes back and you still like what you're seeing, add a little bit on the pullback. This is your exit. Your exit is really if it starts filling the gap, and that's what the algorithm was saying on Netflix, and it would say the same thing on GE. So what I want to do now is I'm going to take some time and answer some questions, and we'll see if, again, if we can kind of wrap it up for everybody to be able to go home. Scott?
Hey, Dan, real quick, before you start going through the questions, there was a one way early regarding the charts. Are you running a version where you can show how to change time frames, duplicate a chart like Brad showed in our earlier webinar?
Sure.
Yeah,
so here's our chart. You can right-click. It's very simple. This is how you change time frames. 1 minute, 2 minute. You can right-click and you can say duplicate. That creates another chart. And you can duplicate it again, and that creates another chart. And you can duplicate it again, and that creates another chart. And you can keep going. And
then you can set different time frame lookups for each one if you wanted to.
Right. You will be able to annotate the charts, absolutely, and you'll be able to do a lot of things, but we're going to do some cool stuff with these charts. This is not about trade ideas competing with TC2000, and, it's not about the indicators. It's about showcasing what we're doing with the technology, which is, again, AI and pattern-based, and so the charting is going to be focused on being able to share that data and take advantage of it the right way. Scott, is there anything else?
No, that's what he wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, so let's see. All right, so I'm going to field some questions. So yeah, there's a question about the channel bar. We're definitely going to make the channel bar so that you can work it around the different monitors. We know that that's a pain. So every window you can right-click and pin it, in case people don't know. And that means that if you switch channels, the window stays. So you can see it's still there. Okay. So basically you could create a layout on your second monitor or not your primary monitor that is like your own custom layout, and then you can channel by having all pin windows, and then you can channel surf on the left side. But we are completely aware of the issue, and we will be taking care of it. No, I didn't say we were going to integrate this with TC2000. I said we are not competing with them as it relates to charting. I said our charts are not going to be the kind of charts where you're going to be plotting EMAs and SMAs and all this other stuff. It's really designed to showcase what we do with the data. And we think that's much more important. I think kind of like for the last 2-3 decades, charting and technical analysis has mostly sent people chasing their own tail. There's no one indicator that we have ever tested with the odds maker that works with any predictive statistical significance. You have to combine it with so many of our filters for any strategy to work. There's never an RSI or MACD that's valid. So those are nothing but markers in our point of view, just a way to look at the data. Okay, let's see what else. So yeah, can I provide a link to the AI robot window? That's not available yet to people because basically it's a custom window that we're testing. I will give one optimized AI robot window to the people that subscribe with the $8.99 plan, and anybody who already has the Trade Ideas odds maker combo has access to it. We'll have access to it. You just have to let me know, ping me with an email. So Julia, I can't do that, but probably the best way to do it would be to do it in a support call. So if you shoot an email to info, we'll set you up and show you how you can do that. Okay, so I didn't have the scan for VLTC. I had VLTC in a window. I have an opening range of 30 minutes that I can show you, which is a similar type of a move. Yeah, let me change the share size here. Okay. So yeah, so you want to know, so what happens, so this is a 45-minute breakout, and you want to know what happens if I did it for 5 minutes? Okay, so yeah, I mean, the strategy works 13 to 9, but it's just you get eaten alive on execution. So it's nothing that you want to trade. I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but and let me just share this with everybody here. Forget things like 5 minutes, okay? Even forget things like 15 or 20 minutes. I mean, 30 minutes is almost completely random. It is just so difficult to statistically get rid of the noise in such a micro time frame. That's why we let our computers focus on, try to get there. Like 45 minutes is just about as, as not noisy as you can get, unless you're trying to really trade the very first minute of the open, which you're racing the HFT machines, and it's impossible, or you have some insider information. So try to give yourself more room, there's no question you can make good money on a small account, okay? But I'm just saying that from our statistical analysis and from everything that we see, the smaller the time frame, the more random the movement. It's just that simple. So in the odds maker, there is no one thing that they all have this. All of this needs to be green. Okay, so you don't want to have one strategy that excels at just only one. You want to have one of the things I don't like about this one, and again, it's because it's such a short time frame here, is that 26 cents versus 15 cents is really not a big spread between the winners and the losers, and only having a 56% success rate is just, I think this one would be difficult to replicate. So that's kind of how I would interpret it. So then I would say, okay, let me refine that in some way. Either, maybe add more time and see if the modification, gets better or worse, but it's possible that it gets worse. Again, I don't know, but when we test this stuff, you can just quickly see, yeah, I mean, you look at the strategy, I say, okay, this is a perfect example of, well, here's your AI, it kind of looks good on paper, but no, 3 cent spread, no way. So you chalk it up and start over. So this one, we'll throw it away. And we do that a lot, by the way, and there are people here who are already our customers, and you'll know that, we've come to you, we've given you a strategy, it all looks good, it might work for a week, it might work for a month, but then something happens, and then you have to okay, let's rethink it. And that's what happens, and that's what we do. I mean, that's the human aspect where the machines and the humans come together, and we combine the best case for educated guessing. Again, educated guessing versus random guessing. That's what we're bringing to the table, and we hope you join this revolution. It's already happening, so we hope you take advantage of it with us. So yeah, Debbie, right now, I think we might be able to do that with a custom formula. I'd have to talk to Brad, but in generally speaking, again, stops are a very tricky thing, and Brad and I will probably go into a discussion on that. We have a stop called the wiggle, which is a function of the 15-minute volatility multiplied by the relative volume, and we think that's the better metric, and then we combine that with the time frame. So like that means at any given 15-minute time frame, you need to multiply the average 15-minute volatility by the relative volume, and then multiply. So if it's 30 minutes, then you twice that, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That should be your wiggle. Because again, that's how the stocks behave. You know, if you're trading Google, for example, you know, it can move 6 points against you almost instantly. But that doesn't mean anything, because for Google, a 6-point move is nothing. That's what's really hard for people to see as it's happening in real time. So the optimized channel will probably be available in June. We're going to be testing a lot of new things in May. And some point in June or July, it's going to be available. And we're kind of saving it for a big summer release. So there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff, the charts and the optimized channel. And this is why I really encourage everybody to take advantage of this $8.99, because again, you're getting it for the year, you're getting all of this technology access, and you're being grandfathered, because our software development is like changing, you know, almost every day. We're coming out with a phone-based, web-based product. It's just going to be incredible. So it's been an hour. I want to thank everybody for taking their time with me. So I believe we're going to have, Scott, this one is taped, right?
Yeah, this session's recorded. Everyone who registered and attends gets a email within a couple of hours, or at least by tomorrow morning, containing a link to the replay and the discount code Tax Day 2015, which is good until Friday for 30% off, and the link to the $8.99 deal, the bit.ly/899saver. So everyone that registered and attended is going to get a copy of that. There were some questions about the strategy we're sending. I let the asker know that we're going to be sending that via email. So that will be a cloud link that the attendees can open in their own download of TI Pro.
So Leonard, there will definitely be some strategies that are options-based. In the options channel, we're going to have a structure station where a human options pro is going to be creating a structure of the day based on some of the stocks that are in the options channel. So it's going to be really cool. The guy is super sharp, and he's just basically going to be creating, again, his own structure of the day based on one of those stations. So Patrick, I didn't say that you couldn't day trade. You absolutely can, and we create strategies for that. What I was really saying is that just be aware of the micro time frames, like 5, 10, 15 minutes. And a lot of people come to us and they say, hey, listen, I want to hold it for 5 minutes, and I don't want to lose more than a penny. And we try to explain, for example, that that's impossible because the minimum spread is a penny, so you lose every single time. So here's an example of a strategy that we used, which is a pullback strategy that caught Sage at 58 and it ended up closing at 59.50. This was a 45-minute strategy, but it caught Sage at a great time, and there's an example of, you know, what you can do, whether it's 45 minutes or an hour. And again, you know, one of the really nice things is that when we work with you, we try to like make the strategy a little bit more custom to what you're trying to do. You know, because each one of you kind of has their own account sizes and their own portfolios, and you know, we try to work within those constraints.
Exactly. That's something that we do. For example, in the $8.99 deal that includes a custom strategy. I had a couple questions about this. That is a custom strategy. We consult with you. We ask you what your parameters are, how you trade, and we develop one that will be optimized for what you're looking for. The strategy you'll receive today by email is one that Dan created for today's session, so it's not unique to your trading style, but it should be interesting for you to take a look at.
Thank you, Leonard. Really appreciate the compliment, and I just can't thank everybody enough for taking their time, especially in the evening if you're on the East Coast, and listening to us. What I want to do is I really want to make sure you guys know that we're so excited because we've been doing this for a long time, but internally we're really starting to push the envelope on the technology. There's some amazing things that are just in the pipeline, and they're going to be coming fast. So it's very exciting, and we just are hopeful that you give it a chance and enjoy it with us. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.